Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to be talking about the rest of the week that was in pro wrestling. So that's going to be TNA Impact. And while I wanted to cover Collision, I was dog sitting that day, and it was a lot. So instead, I'm going to give you a not so long rant about something that happened last night at Revolution. And by the headlines, I think you all pretty much know what's going on. But I am going to give my 2 cents. So hopefully you sit back, relax, and let's get into this one. So we start off with TNA Impact Wrestling. We start off with a match which, while not rare for Impact, it's definitely not the norm. We have the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff, taking on Sinner and Saint. That's Travis Williams and Icarus, Matthews, I think his name is. And while not a super long match, it was super enjoyable. Like, Sinner and Saint have the energy of the Motor City Machine Guns. Hardy Boys, well, in their more advanced age, they definitely looked good, really good here. Match ends with a Spinal Destination, which is Jeff Hardy's new, submission move, where he bends his opponent over his knee with the spine being stretched. It's actually kind of interesting looking, although I do think it could have been executed a little bit better, but it was still fine. While Matt hits a twist of fate to keep from the opponent from breaking it up. So we got a submission victory for the Hardys. Very interesting, very rare too. And then post-match, for whatever reason, Jeff Hardy goes and hits a swanton on his opponents. Then they help Sinner and Saint up and shake their hands. I genuinely thought we were headed for a Hardy Boys heel turn. Say that 5 times fast. That's a tongue twister. But, it looks like it's another respect angle. Hopefully this means we'll be seeing a bit more of Sinner and Saint, because these two are underrated. And I hope we get some more of them in the coming weeks. Then we run down the rest of what's going on the card tonight, on the evening. Then we go backstage for an Elegance brand interview. So that's Mr. Elegance, the concierge, everyone but Ash, who apparently got so embarrassed by Mickie James that she's still out. So they're telling ODB to stay out of their business. And then next week they got Mr. Elegance having his first match, which that's going to be interesting to watch. And then they say, well, take on any old timer you throw at us. Well, in comes not only an old timer, but a deep cut that at first I thought, is that Angelina Love? Then the nameplate popped up. It's Goldilocks. And if you don't know who Goldilocks is, I don't blame you. She's definitely like I said, a deep cut. She comes from very early TNA when they were NWA TNA and doing penny pay-per-views on Thursdays. And no, I'm not kidding. Go look that shit up. It's wild. And she was the manager of the weirdest tag team I think I've ever seen. A very early version of the Monster Abyss, which Masked Superstar had a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing going later on in his career. And his partner, Alex Shelley, which, I don't know, that is the weirdest combination I've ever heard of. But they had like Goldilocks and the Three Bears vibes going. I don't know what the heck that was, but it was so weird. So Goldilocks come up, say, how dare you talk down to legends like that? Mickie James earned your respect. Something you don't know anything about. So then Mr. Elegance turns to her and says, weren't you working here when I was 4? Which got a big eye roll from me. That is so disrespectful. Then she turns to him and says, quiet, the adults are talking. Which, a little bit of a B-slap to him. So, yeah, I guess we're getting the Elegance brand taking on a whole bunch of legends. Which, I'm not against. Although, it's going to be interesting to see who else shows up. Will we see the beautiful people show up again? Will we see Awesome Kong show up? Victoria's still out there, aka Tara. There's definitely a lot that they can do with this. And I'm pretty there for it. So next match up, we got Indy Hartwell taking on Kelsey Heather, who I thought was in the Elegance brand, but she's not. At least not yet. This match started out a little slowly, but eventually it did pick up a little bit. Kelsey Heather did get some stuff in, but it was effectively a squash match. After a very impressive spine buster by Hartwell, then a Hertz Donut, which is a great name for a finisher, for Indy to pick up the win. She then goes to the corner, grabs a microphone, says, I didn't come to TNA just to exist, just to be happy on the roster. I came here to be the Knockouts champion, and the person that currently holds it doesn't deserve it. I'm not asking for a shot, I'm demanding it. So this brings out Knockouts champion Ariana Grace and Stax, which I want to be done with him. So Grace says, it's so funny. You really think you can come out here and demand your shot? Then Indy retorted, you manipulated your father for your shot. So Ariana replies, look, get in line. We got Danny, we got Tessa, we got others in there, all want their shot. None of you are even close to my level. So Indy kind of looks down, looks back up, says, you're right, I'm above your level. Because I did it myself. And sooner or later, I'm becoming Knockouts champion. So, nice little fired up promo from Indy Hartwell. I do hope she gets the Knockouts title sooner rather than later. Although, I would like to see Dani Luna hold it for a little bit. Because she's been grinding for it too. So then, cut to the back. We see the Hardys and the Righteous there. With the Hardys thanking the Righteous for sacrificing themselves at the pay-per-view. Righteous retorted, we just went out there, sprinkled some of the Hardy magic out here. Wrestling here is just our job. But that's the thing. You just give and give and give. But now you got the system coming for you. They got one boot in the grave, and we'll be there to help back you up. Then in walks Nick and Ryan Nemeth, with Ryan saying, just here to remind you there are other teams out there besides these goofs. Us. So Vincent and Dutch get into the Nemeth's face, saying, you two are making one of the most dangerous decisions, disrespecting the Hardys. And they kind of roll their eyes and leave. So, definitely going to be interesting to see how this Righteous storyline plays out. But I'm kind of here for it. I'm here to see what they got in store. Next up, a bit of an interesting trios match. And yes, I'm going to call it a trios match. So we got Trey Miguel teaming up with Rich Swann and BDE to take on Jason Hawk, John Skyler, and the returning Mustafa Ali. And Order 4 just slides in the ring. They just start brawling with their opponents. Eventually, they clear it out with Ali and BDE starting. And honestly, all 6 of these guys have some great chemistry together. Really, really good back and forth. But then eventually, you got Trey Miguel in the ring with Hawk hit the Shell Shock and then the Lightning Spiral to pick up the win for his team. But then, on the outside, we see Mustafa Ali. He's holding up and looking at Trey's international title. And then Trey bends over and grabs it, celebrates with it. So, Trey Miguel, Mustafa Ali program. I'm down for that. Let's do that. Then we get a TNA injury report segment, which, again, I think this adds to the realness of the show. And I kind of hope maybe AEW includes this in their show. Not all the time, but maybe every once in a while. So next segment we see Mike Santana in the back. He runs into Daria Ray, the former Sonya Deville. And she has a little message for him. That Macklin is in the house tonight, but if you put your hands on him, you will be stripped of your world title. So Santana retorts, "You just here to make my life a living hell." So then Santino Marella walks up and says, "Look, I have another stipulation to add. If Macklin puts his hands on Mike Santana, he is permanently fired from TNA, and all of his accomplishments are erased from history." Okay, some high stakes for this talking segment. So then we see Steve Macklin. He rounds the corner, gets in Mike Santana's face, says, "What's up, champ?" and then walks off. I'm going to say this. While I'm not the biggest fan of Feast or Fired, I think this was a very interesting way to make a storyline out of it. And while it does dilute the stipulation, I do feel like it was a good use of it. To have this out-and-out outsider, Steve Macklin, invading shows, sticking his nose in a business that isn't his. It's great. I thought that was really good. So then we see Ariana Grace and Stax in the back. Ariana's just complaining that, "Oh, why does everyone want a shot? Why can't they just celebrate me?" So Stack explains, "Well, that's what being a champion is. You now have a target on your back with the title everyone wants." So then we see a little kind of cross-cut around the corner. Indy Hartwell is talking with, I want to say it's a referee. So Ariana's like, "Handle this." So Stax walks up to her and says, "You were just being so disrespectful out there to Grace, talking to her like that, blah, blah, blah." While Indy Hartwell was distracted, Ariana Grace comes up from behind Indy and attacks her with the title. They both start beating her down. And Santino sprints in, pretty much says, "Get the heck off of her! Get out of the building right now!" So this is turning into a situation. And I am kind of here for it. So then we go to the ring for a Steve Maclin promo. Then we clearly see Mike Santana standing in the crowd with his title. Maclin sees him, gives him a little wave. Then he says on the microphone, "Good God, does it feel great to be back. It's like I never left. And while I'm here, I have to issue some apologies, and I have some notes." So he goes into his back pocket, brings out a, almost shopping list level note, piece of paper. And he starts reading from it. It says, "Thank you, Ray, who believe you're the greatest leader here. Unlike Santino, who can't even keep his family in order. Tom, who is the announcer, he hit in the last segment he was in. Sorry this is how our friendships end, but you know what this was. You're a weakling. Next time you remember, I'm a wrestler, and you're out there on commentary." And with all that wrapped up, he kind of crushes the piece of paper, throws it over his shoulder. Then he says, "I find it funny. I've been the most talked about and haven't technically worked here in over a month. It's been a long time since I've been a world champion. I've been doing nothing but fight for myself. But speaking of selfish people, Santana, hey there, finds him in the crowd, says, 'Sorry it had to come to this. I saw an opportunity and I took it. And while you're using your addictions to garner sympathy from the people here, I show up to meetings with my VA. I don't play messages from my father. But I got lucky. You got lucky. You're lucky enough you could spend time with your dad. I don't remember what mine even sounds like. Mike, I know what death really is. This isn't just about the title. It's about the door you open. And people will finally meet the man you let in. And at Sacrifice, let's end this once and for all." A very well done promo from Steve Maclin. Yeah, I'm definitely hyped for this matchup now. This feud has been really good so far. I'm wondering how it's going to end. So next matchup, it took us this long to get to another match. We have AJ Francis, that's the former Top Dollar, taking on the Drifter Elijah, the former Elias. And I'm going to say this match was completely underrated. These two have some great chemistry. While not, technical savants, a la Daniel Bryan or Will Ospreay, these two got the job done. This was a really, really good match. Gonna go over some of the things that happened. After a Tennessee Whiskey, which is a big knee where AJ flips over the top rope and lands, which is a move he kind of made up after a botch in the WWE, which, honestly, if that doesn't scream really good wrestler that he can turn a botch into a move, a part of his arsenal, that's great. So AJ goes for a powerbomb, that gets blocked. Elijah with an Alabama Slammer, which, that was impressive. Then Elijah goes up to the top rope, starts walking it like he's going to do Undertaker's Old School. Instead, he whips out a Canadian destroyer off the ropes. But that only gets a 2 count. Then they somehow make it to the outside. AJ Francis grabs a water bottle, tries throwing it at Elijah. That misses. Elijah picks it up, throws it at Kaz, who has been on commentary. Gets AJ Francis back in. Kaz gets up on the apron. It's a jawbreaker on Elijah. AJ Francis with a down payment to pick up the win. So, while, yes, it is interference, I don't mind it because it does make some sense. Because this is kind of interpersonal relationship. So, yeah, I don't mind it. Post-match, AJ Francis and Kaz attack Elijah. Then making the save is the hometown man. If you don't know who that is Cody Deaner in a mask, and he's pretending every city he visits is his hometown. Which, it's definitely a comedy gimmick, but he does it very well. So, I guess we're getting a tag match with these 4 in the near future, which, yeah, I'm definitely okay with. Then we see EY in the back. I guess he just got done attacking the cameraman, because he picks up the camera, looks right into it, and says, "Hey, Leon, you okay? You talking to the doctor? You're nothing but more than a false prophet. In that sacrifice, it's going to be you and me for the X Division title. I said the cleanse is coming, and I'm going to prove it." So it looks like we got something coming at Sacrifice. I'm not sure if this is going to be a group or if it's just Eric Young taking over on himself, by himself. I'm not sure. I hope it's a group. Anyway, next is a weird Rosemary segment. It starts off with big red letters, Greed. Then we kind of zoom in on Swinger's Palace. Now, if you don't remember this was a backstage gambling ring. So they would play cards, blackjack, whatever. And Johnny Swinger was in charge, in which I didn't think Johnny Swinger was still employed with TNA. So that's wild. So we see certain wrestlers in here. Dango is in here for some reason. I thought he retired. Although he does have a big retired shirt. So Rosemary walks in and says, "Right, what we needed." At that point we see, actually we don't see that yet. So then she turns to, I forget the other dude's name. It's the dude she killed. Johnny Bravo. That's who it is. And teleports to him a contract. So he signs it, sends it back to Rosemary. Rosemary then points to the other card table asking, "What happened to the Motor City machine guns?" Swinger then says, "They got taken down a peg." And then Dango kind of recruits Sinner and Saint into his... I guess he's going to mentor them for a little while. That could be fun, I guess. Rosemary then turns back to Swinger, says, "You're doing well for yourself. But I'm here to take from you and get your deed for greed." Swing then turns to her and says, "Are you going to close this on me?" Rosemary replies, I'm going to keep this open for an eternity. She conjures another contract. Swinger signs it. Hands it back to Rosemary. At that point, the glitching bunny mascot, which is the best way I can describe her, this person, walks by. Swinger follows them, saying, "Hey, Gooker, what you got there?" At that point, we see Rosemary turn to the other side of the camera, where she says, "You worry too much." Hands over the 2 contracts. Someone else takes it. Camera reveals Allie. Now, if you don't remember Allie, she was the bunny in the Butcher and the Blade tag team. But in TNA, she was technically killed in the undead realm. And you can tell because she's got 3 holes and they're all bleeding from her neck. So, yeah, I got a weird vibe from this segment. So it's clear that Rosemary is collecting souls of the 7 deadly sins of man to try to bring back Allie. But Allie is acting way too sweet in this. I got a funny feeling we're going to get revealed, oh, she's actually, zombified or something. Or she's still, possessed by Su Yung. Or there's got to be something more to this, because that reveal felt a little rushed, which makes me think there's something more to this. Like a side effect of the resurrection. Which, definitely going to be interesting to see what comes of it. So next up, we got the TNA and the North American debut of Ricky Sosa. This is actually my first time seeing this guy. I did see the viral video of his entrance, which, that was pretty cool. Crowd brought it for his entrance here today. And he's taking on the guy with maybe the greatest wrestling name I have ever heard, Brad Attitude. And no, I'm not punking you. That's his name. And, well, it was a quick match. Brad Attitude definitely got some stuff in. But, yeah, this is the Ricky Sosa showcase. He would look very well in the X Division at some point. Picking up the win with the Blue Thunder Bang, which is a great name for a finisher. Picking up the win. Nice, easy, to the point. Hopefully we get some more from this kid in the near future. Especially here in TNA. Then we get a nice little rundown of next week's card. And then we get to our main event. An Atlanta street fight between Moose and Cedric Alexander. As it was revealed during the entrance, the rest of the system, so that's Brian Myers, Eddie Edwards, and Bear Bronson, all banned from ringside. Although we had Alicia Edwards backing up Moose, which that seems a little unfair to me. Yeah, this was kind of a basic plunder match, but it was also a really intense, I wouldn't say high stakes, but really interesting stakes matchup between these two. Really good back and forth. Moose with a big old superplex into a pile of chairs. Only gets a 2 count. Cedric Alexander with a surprise Spanish fly. That was impressive. Again for a 2 count. Cedric goes for a crossbody. Gets caught in midair by a spear from Moose. Cedric rolls to the outside. Moose grabs, sets up a table. Goes for a spear through it. Cedric Alexander moves. Cedric then sets up a chair in the corner. Hits a brainbuster. Only gets a 1 count. They trade strikes for a little bit. Moose with a big headbutt. Tosses him into the chair into the corner. Then as Cedric is staggering, Moose with a big spear through the table. Rolls him back to the middle of the ring. Pin and win. So that is step 1 done for Moose. We got 1 down. 3 to go. So he's about to run through the system. So, yeah, I'm going to say this. A very interesting episode of TNA Impact. Definitely interested to see what's going on with Allie and Rosemary come next week and the coming weeks overall. And, yeah, interested to see how Moose handles the rest of the system. So that's TNA Impact. Now comes my rant. And I will try to not yell, but it is something I am a little passionate about. So, last night was AEW Revolution. And while I didn't quite watch it, I did follow it along on social media. And I saw someone more than a little bit controversial made her AEW debut / kind of return, because she did work in a match in Ring of Honor, that being Ronda Rousey. And I have zero interest in seeing Ronda Rousey in 2026 in a wrestling ring. Not just because she's transphobic, not just because she's anti-vax, not just because she's Sandy Hook denier. On top of all that, she's just not a good wrestler. Like, I'll give her some props. Her first run in WWE was entertaining, but her second run left a lot to be desired. Like, she's not a good wrestler. She's okay on the microphone. Honestly, I feel like all this was to promote her upcoming MMA fight on Netflix, which isn't that ironic? Especially with Raw on Netflix. And then on top of that, she talked bad about UFC, about pro wrestling in general. And why? And, like, I get it. She's a major name. She may bring in some new viewers or whatever. I could care less. Like, honestly, if she shows up on Dynamite or Collision or whatever, I'm hitting the mute button. Or I may just go take a whiz. That is how uninterested I am in this woman. And I'm going to say this. If you're an AEW fan or just a wrestling fan in general and you agree with me, do not give her any reaction if she's on TV or if you're in the arena. Don't boo, don't do anything. Just sit there or maybe take that opportunity to go pee. Because I think that's going to say a lot more than booing her. So, yeah, Tony, very rare L in my book. Well, I could still continue to watch AEW, of course. They're my favorite promotion. But, yeah, this is a thin ice thing. So, that'll do it for me. I think this week I'm going to be taking a little bit of a breather from the wrestling. Because I actually got a lot going on. Gonna see some family for St. Patrick's Day. Gonna celebrate some birthdays. So, maybe watching wrestling isn't my priority for this week. So I'm gonna be taking a little bit of a breather. I think maybe Friday I'll do an updated Double or Nothing card prediction, which could be interesting this time around, especially post-Revolution. So, hopefully you stick with me through that. Till next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.